The river's name has a musical lilt. You can hear it echoed in the names of the communities that dot its banks. Margaree Valley, Margaree Forks, Margaree Harbor. This valley has a long history of farming, fishing, and settlement, all focused on the Margaree. Yet it has retained its character and remains beautiful, unimpounded, and pristine. The Margaree River flows through the heart and history of Cape Breton. It's the largest river system on the island and one of the largest in Nova Scotia. The Margaree River traces the contours of some of the most beautiful countryside in Canada. Millions of years ago, these rounded mountains were uplifted to a height of 532 meters. But the stress of this upward movement created long cracks in the Earth's crust, which became valleys for rivers like the Margaree. The gradual erosion of the highlands has provided fertile soil for hardwood forests. The Margaree River system stretches 120 kilometers inland from the island's west coast and is comprised of two distinct branches. The headwaters of the northeast branch are in the northern highlands. The southwest branch emerges from Lake Ainslie in the south. The two branches join and flow westward, finally emptying into the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The upper reaches of the northeast Margaree snake through a steep-sided canyon. The canyon and the rugged terrain surrounding it formed a natural barrier to settlement, so the mantle of birch, oak, and maple still shrouds the hillsides.
The Northeast Margaree is kind of unique in the sense that it is relatively undisturbed. Since the Europeans came over to Nova Scotia. We have some of the oldest forests in eastern North America here in this canyon. And basically they're predominantly the taller hardwoods, again, sugar maple dominated.
Such wild and sweeping forests are a rare treasure in Nova Scotia now, and the province has acted to preserve them. Headwaters of the northeast Margaree has been proclaimed a protected wilderness area. The northeast Margaree is underlain by hard rock, not easily eroded. It has fast, shallow water and wide gravel banks. This makes perfect spawning grounds for Atlantic salmon.
It's all spring fed, like this northeast branch, so the water temperatures stay relatively cool, even in hot weather in the summer. I guess that's one of the things that have really contributed to this river remaining productive, is the fact that there's no industrial pollution of any kind on the river. Of course, the spawning takes place pretty well all over this river, from just above tidewater right through into the headwaters. There are no barrier falls to speak of, so fish can pretty well ascend right to the headwaters.
The Margaree fish hatchery has been stocking and supporting the native salmon population since 1902. It's now run by a small staff and an army of volunteers whose goal is to maintain what many say is the river's greatest asset. Each summer, adult fish are caught in the river. They're brought to the hatchery where their eggs are deposited and raised.
This past few years, we've been collecting about 150,000 eggs, which requires a little over 20 females, usually 22, 23 females, and then we collect the same number of males as well, so that we have a 1-to-1 spawning ratio, and that gives lots of genetic variability in the stock. So it should be very similar to what's going on in the river as far as spawning goes.
The future of Atlantic salmon is uncertain. World populations are in a slow, steady decline. Loss of habitat, pollution, and overfishing all get their share of the blame. But thanks to the hatchery's stocking program, decades of catch and release policies, and other conservation efforts, salmon still return to the Margaree.
The community sees the importance of having, a good, healthy recreational sport fishery here. So that's really important to a rural community like this. So the people here see the importance of the resource and have also, been aware of the contribution that the hatchery has made to that success story.
54 of the best spots to fish have been given names. Black Angus, Boarsback, and Big McDaniel, to name a few, are a reminder of the community's long and deep connection to the river. A connection that should see the salmon of the Margaree thrive and endure. The southwest branch of the Margaree begins at Lake Ainslie, the largest freshwater lake in Nova Scotia. With an area of almost 60 square kilometers, its sheer size makes it important to fish and other species, as well as highly influential in the ecosystem as a whole. The waters of Lake Ainslie are alkaline, not acidic, a matter of basic chemistry, and a blessing that has helped keep the entire river system healthy and productive.
Now, most rivers in Nova Scotia are quite acid, and many rivers in Nova Scotia have been affected by acid rain and can no longer produce salmon populations. But this river system with Lake Ainslie at its headwaters, this alkalinity and buffers the river against acid rain. It's one of the few rivers really in Nova Scotia that are left that can produce good, healthy populations of fish.
The large eastern arm of Lake Ainslie is known as Lochban, and it's ringed by a rich complex of marshes and wetland habitats. One of these is the Black River Bog.
Black River Bog is considered one of the most important terrestrial ecosystem sites in Nova Scotia. It's an alkaline bog and wetland. And within this ecosystem, there rare plants are found that have adapted and thrive on this alkaline condition. A number of different grasses that are found only in these type of sites. So you have this rare ecosystem, and you have